In this video, I'm going to walk you through Claude Design step by step so you can create slide decks, documents, social graphics, and even working website mockups, all matching your brand. Claude Design is built right into Claude, and after some big recent upgrades, way more templates and much more efficient usage. It's become genuinely useful for beginners. We're going to go from your very first prompt to a finished on-brand presentation. I'm Jamie, and let's get into it. First, where to find it. Inside Claude, look at the side panel and click Design. Same spot in your desktop app, or you can go straight to claude.ai/design. If you're on any paid Claude plan, Pro, Max, Team, or Enterprise, you already have access. It's in beta and included with your subscription. Nothing extra to buy. And a note about usage, because this was a real complaint early on. Design generations used to burn through your allowance fast. Now that's been overhauled. Design now draws from the same usage pool as regular Claude chat. And a recent update made each generation dramatically more efficient. So you can actually work in it now. Here's the homepage. You've got a prompt box up top and below it, templates. Two ways to work. Just describe what you want or start from a template. Let's try both. Let's start with the simplest possible thing, a plain prompt. No template, no setup. Throughout this video, I'll use a small demo company called Basecamp Brew Co. It's a small batch coffee roaster in a mountain town. So in the prompt box, I'm going to type, create a simple one-page flyer announcing our new Ridgeline Espresso blend. Now, one thing before I send it, see the model picker here? It defaults to Sonnet, which is the efficient choice, and that's what I'm going to leave it with. The top model burns extra credits, so in the everyday design work, you don't need it. Now, there's also an effort setting if you want Claude to think harder on its big job. Okay, let's send it off. While that goes through, notice the layout. Your conversation with Claude is on the left and the canvas is where the design appears on the right. Now that split is the whole tool, but instead of building right away, look at this. Now Claude has some questions and the canvas fills with a quick form. Now, what's the flyer for? The key details, price, size, tasting notes, the call to action, the tone, even whether we want tear off strips at the bottom. Now, most of these are just tappable. And notice the decide for me sits on almost every question. So for whenever you're not sure, just choose that one. And your form won't match mine exactly. Claude writes these questions fresh from for every project. So it also asks whether we have a logo or product photo. I'm going to just pick placeholder, and remember that choice, it comes back later. And it offers some ready-made design systems to start from. I'm skipping that on purpose. I want you to see the plain default first because fixing it is the whole second half of this video. And sometimes Claude comes back with one more round. Mine asked me what visual style I wanted. Now I'm going to take rustic mountain. Now here's the thing. This form is the single biggest difference between people who get a generic result and people who don't. A careful minute here saves an hour on revisions later. Now while it builds, glance at the left panel. It narrates its steps, and this one catch, it found issues fixing. Claude checks its own work before it shows you anything. And there it is. And to be honest, this is better than what I expected. It's kind of plain, but with no brand attached. But look closer. This isn't our brand. Claude invented the whole style, and it invented details too. The street address, made up. The website doesn't exist. Always read copy before a design goes out the door. And you know, if I made a second flyer tomorrow, Claude might invent a completely different look. Nice one-offs with no consistency. That's exactly the problem a design system solves. And notice, no blank canvas, no dragging text boxes. You start from something and you shape it from there. And shaping, it's just by talking. I'm going to type too much white space, make the headline bigger, and give the whole thing a warmer, cozier feel. 3 complaints in one breath, and I'm going to send it. And look how it answered. It has bigger headline, tightened spacing, warmer palette. It split my one messy sentence into 3 separate fixes. No design software skills, no menus to learn. Just say what's bugging you. And see the toolbar up at the top? There's a whole set of editing tools in there. We're going to tour those properly once we get the real brand to work with. Now, that's the core loop of Claude Design. Describe, generate, refine. Everything else in this video builds on that. Now, let's look at the templates. These give Claude a structured starting point for a specific kind of design, and the lineup recently expanded in a big way. There's slides for presentations, document, reports, invoices, handouts, UI mockups for websites, which we'll come back to in a minute. Wireframe and mobile app designed for sketching app ideas, HTML email for newsletters, resume, research. There's even a 3D object option, and that one is in a world of its own. A color and type pairing template for exploring looks, and an animation template for motion graphics, which we'll come back to at the end. And blank, when you just want an open canvas. These will change over time, so your list might look slightly different. The point is, whatever you're making, there's probably a template shaped like it. But before we use them, we need to solve a problem that many of you already might have spotted. The fix is a design system. In plain English, a design system is your brand style guide stored right inside Claude Design. It has your colors, your fonts, logos, voice. So everything you create comes out on brand without re-explaining it every time. So let's build one. From the Design System tab, or you can click right here on this drop down, then click Create Design System. You'll get a choice to create here or create using Claude Code. The second one is for developers who have components to pull from. We'll pick Create Here, which lets you connect to Figma or GitHub or just upload slides and assets. Remember those ready-made design systems from the flyer form? We had modernist, classical, nocturne. Those are all included in Claude Design, and they're worth taking a look at just for if you want a nice style fast. But the real power moves on to building your own. So that's what we're about to do. The form is simple. Up top, the company name and a one-line blurb. So I'm going to write Basecamp Brew Co., small batch coffee roaster in a small mountain town. Then a section for examples. And notice everything in it is optional. You don't need formal brand guidelines. Developers can link code or drop in a Figma file, but we'll use the row that matters most to us, and that's add fonts, logos, and assets. I'm going to drag in the Basecamp logo and a couple other product images and a brand guide. And here's a tip straight from Anthropic's own guidance. Real examples beat specs. So a finished design that looks like your brand tells Claude more than a color palette alone. So last, the notes box. So warm and friendly, never corporate, flagship product, Ridgeline Espresso. Now remember how the flyer had no real imagery because we gave it none. This is your fix. Once your logo and assets live in the design system, Claude designs with them every time automatically. Then continue, and we'll give it a few minutes. And look what came back. This is a full brand system from one logo, 2 images, and a note. There's a README with the brand story and tone rules, warm, plain spoken, never corporate jargon. It even picked up punctuation habit from our label, those little dots between tasting notes. It identified our exact fonts and hex codes right off the brand card and confirmed the fonts as real Google fonts. So no substitutes. It rebuilt our label and logo badge as live, editable versions. It derived a full color scale from 3 hex codes, built buttons, forms, and a product cards in our style, and mocked up an entire homepage. And here's the part I respect. It tells you what it's unsure about. It flags the icon set as a substitution. And look at this question. It's asking me to confirm a product lineup that includes Summit Blend and Trailhead Decaf. Those came out of one of the assets I uploaded. And that's a lesson. Every time you upload becomes a brand truth. So including things you forgot were in there. So I'll answer, Ridgeline Espresso is our only current product. Drop the other 2. Same lesson as the flyer. You verify, and every card here has a feedback and edit button. So anything wrong gets fixed once and stays fixed. Set this up once. Every design from here on pulls from it. Let's see the design system flex, a website mockup. I'll pick the UI mockups template, set the design system to drop down to Basecamp Brew. It's the only one I have there. And prompt will be Basecamp Brew Co. website with pages for homepage, shop, our coffee, and about us. And here comes the questions again. Now, what each page should focus on and whether I want one interactive prototype with working navigation or static mockups. Now, interactive, obviously, and catch this. The shop question says that the design system only has one real product. Remember the correction I made 5 minutes ago. So that's the whole system working. Then anything in the box, I'll add my own requests. So I'm going to keep this a real product and price, working, add to cart, and give me 2 or 3 options for the home hero. Now, remember that last one, it pays off in a minute. Let's submit these answers and wait a few moments. And here it is. Let's actually click around, because this isn't a picture of a website. It's a clickable working navigation. Our logo badge in the header, the shop works, and grind selector, quality, add to cart. And here in the cart, our coffee page tells the sourcing story, and about the page wrote an origin story, generally sounds like us. And notice where the real photos belong, it's spelled drop zone. So drag a rotisserie photo in and it's placed. So that's the imagery lesson again. Claude designs the spot, you supply the photo, and look above the hero. That option I asked for became an actual switcher statement. Quote, photo split, flip, pick, move on. One honest moment from my build. The logo didn't show up at first, so I typed logo isn't showing. And that was the entire bug report. So Claude investigated, looked at his own screenshots, explained the problem, cream logo vanishing into the dark header, and fixed it with a circular chip. So another image looked missing. Claude checked and said, it loads fine here. Tried to refresh it, and the refresh fixed it. So troubleshooting is the same as everything else in this tool. Just say what's wrong. If you've seen my Claude Code videos, you might be thinking, couldn't I build this there? You could, but here changes happen by clicking, not by prompting and waiting for rebuilds. Design is for iterating on how something looks. Code is for building the real thing. And to be clear, this is a mock-up, not a live website, so no one can visit it and there's no real checkout. But to test an idea, show a client, or hand off to a developer, this is a serious head start. And when you want to build it for real, there's a path for that, and I'm going to show you that at the end. Now, one prompt to a clickable website. Let's refine it. The first version is never the final version, so let's talk about editing. See the toolbar up top, comment, tweaks, present, edit, share. These work the same way on every design type. So you've already seen the first way to refine, just talk to it like we did with the flyer. Good for big changes. The rest live in that toolbar next to the direct edits. Now, once we click on that, now click any element and change it yourself. I'll click this headline, tighten the wording, change words, bump the size up, or try different weights and select a different button. I can adjust the colors, the spacing too. So then save, and it's committed. No prompt, no waiting. This is the fastest way to fix small things, and honestly the feature that I use the most. Then comments. Click on the comment button, then leave a note right on the design. I'll mark this ridgeline card on the home page and write, this is our only product. Give this card more presence. It should feel like the hero of the section. And send. So point it at the problem, describe the fix, done. And tweaks, these are toggles for decisions that touch the whole design. Up in the tweak panel, we've already got the hero options I asked for. I can flip between them and pick the one that I like. And here's a move worth knowing. If you're not sure what to change, just say, add a bunch of tweaks for me to experiment with. And then Claude comes back with options you hadn't thought of, and you can flip through them for inspiration. Rule of thumb, direct edits and comments fix one thing in one place. Conversations and tweaks change the bigger picture. Now the one most of you came for, slides. I'll pick slides template, set the design system drop down to Basecamp Brew, and attach the markdown file of talking points. We're pitching Ridgeline Espresso to local cafes and a lodge up the hill. So my prompt, turn the attached talking points into a pitch deck, and again, I get questions. And look how specific they've gotten. It read the talking points. It knows the lodge is the higher volume account. Slide count is a slider. I'm just going to leave this at 10. 10-minute presentation. And here's my favorite moment in the whole video. It noticed my talking points mention per kg pricing, but never give numbers. And instead of quietly inventing prices, it asked, remember the flyer making up the address? This is the opposite. And it's exactly why these questions are worth your time. Now, I'll say I'll provide the real numbers. And sure enough, it comes back with one more box asking for exactly those. So I'll type them in and add a contact block to the closing slide, and then check the two extras, a tasting note visual and a pricing table. Here's the deck, our colors, our fonts, our logo. every slide and copy that sounds like us instead of a press release. Scrolling through title slide, the story of the blend, pricing tiers for the cafes and the lodge, and closing slides with the order details. It even generated speaker notes underneath. And that present button up the toolbar runs the deck full screen. So right from here. All four editing tools work here too. So direct edit on any slide, comments, and you can ask for tweaks like a logo toggle or slide numbers across the whole deck. One prompt, one file, and version 1 lands close to being done. Quick one, because it works the same way. The document template, same design system, and I'll ask it for a wholesale invoice template. Logo colors, line items, completely on brand, and I never re-explained a thing. Now, that's the real payoff. Invoices, handouts, reports, HTML, emails, all pulling from the same brand automatically. If you're a teacher, that's matching slides, handouts, and newsletters without rebuilding your styles each time. One brand, every format, that's the move. Let's get this work out of Claude Design. Click the share in the top right. For the deck, you can export it as an editable PowerPoint or PDF. And if you work in Canva, there's an export path straight into that. Now, the one I'd point out to you is the standalone HTML file. Download it, double click it, and the deck opens in any browser. And anyone you send that one file can open it the same way. So no software, no account, no compatibility issues. And because it's HTML, you can ask for extras built in. In one of my real decks, I had a Claude Design add a presenter view button that opens my speaker notes alongside the slides. And remember that website mockup? This is where it goes further. From the share menu, you can send the whole project to Claude Code and build it in a real site with the database and payments and everything mocked up, everything a mockup can't do. So one export works everywhere in a clear path when you're ready to do more. That's Claude Design. Describe, generate, refine in a describe system that keeps everything on brand across every format. This week, try one thing. Build a design from your logo and a few images. It takes 5 minutes and it upgrades everything you make after. And I've got a question for you. That website mockup we built, I'm considering a full video where we hand it over to Claude Code and turn it into a real live website. If you'd watch that, tell me down below in the comments. And subscribe because 2 more videos are coming from this one. A deeper design system method using a file called DesignMD and the animation template for motion graphics. If this was helpful, my full Claude playlist is right here. See you in the next one.